Hello everybody and welcome to the Pick Sixes, everything you need to know about the Week 2 of UFL as well as your Week 3 UFL predictions. Without further ado, let's jump right on into it. Our first matchup coming up at 1 p.m. Eastern Time is going to be the DC Defenders versus the Arlington Renegades this Saturday. In Week 2, DC's deep ball inefficiency absolutely showed with deep ball after deep ball unable to make connection. Somehow, after another, they ended up having it be efficient enough to get the job done, though, with Teamo's 50% completion rating on 32 attempts with 2 touchdowns, netting him 212 yards. So it ended up working in the interim. And this week, they had 86 total rushing yards, which doubled almost their total run output from last week. So a lot of work done there. Would always love to see a little bit of extra, but they were able to get the job done in that right as well, too, to get this win. One thing we'd all like to see them solve is their problems on the defensive side of the ball. This is not the DC Defenders that we're used to. Their secondary is the second worst in the UFL so far, giving up 432 yards passing in 2 games. 280 total yards given up in Game 2 alone. So we'd really like to see them pick it up here. They are having a lot of trouble against the pass. And speaking about being bad against the pass game, let's talk about their opponent, who's coincidentally really good at the pass game. They have Luis Perez, who had 72% completion in Week 2 on 233 yards and a touchdown. He is still establishing a rapport with his new weapon, so we have yet to see a go-to guy be hit there. But 100% red zone percentage in Week 2 is something to be happy and excited about for this Renegades team. They have turned a new leaf there. As far as their defense is considered, they have 6 tackles for loss, 3 pass breakups, 0 picks, but 3 sacks. So they're floating along there. Their key to consistency is definitely going to be on offense. And with the sheer fact that the defenders have a seriously hard time defending the pass, and the Renegades' strengths being in the pass game, we have to give it to the Renegades here, as it just seems like a gimme. And that's going to bring us on to Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have the Memphis Showboats versus the Birmingham Stallions. The Showboats have sprung a bit of a leak here, with Case Cookus in Week 2 coming in with 194 yards passing on 1 touchdown with 59 rushing yards as well. Something curious to note here is he's the #1 rusher and passer on his team. Not exactly the formula to success as far as long and short term, especially as we're seeing here results-wise in the UFL. Their defense is steady as she goes, with 2 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, and 2 defensive takeaways. They're looking really good here on this side of the ball. It's just really needing some consistency on that run game to complement Case Cookus and his wide receivers here. So we'll look to see if they can do that, or these Showboats are going to have to be turning this boat around. And looking into the Stallions, which is going to be the Showboats' opponent here in this matchup, we have Adrian Martinez taking the helm in Week 3. In Week 2, he ended up taking the helm from Matt Corral after Matt Corral had a bit of a slow start with 1 interception on 53 yards with 12 attempts. He ended up being able to put 88 yards and 65 rushing yards together on 8 completions with 15 attempts, and was the spark that the Stallions needed to finish off the Michigan Panthers last week. We're going to wonder if they have a long-term solution. I by no means think that they are settled here, but we'll look to see if he can do it and really make a name for himself in this league, as he was able to get the dub last week. At the end of the day, we still believe that the Stallions are the more talented team, though, so the Showboats are going to be off to a rough start by our prediction, 0-3. And they're going to have to turn this boat around. And here's where I take a second to note the fact that we are really close to our 500 subscriber goal here, you guys. It'd be really cool to hit that, and check out our other videos, Blueprints to Bleachers, UFL, anything football really, and we'll get back onto this video. And for Sunday at noon p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to have the Roughnecks versus the Michigan Panthers. In Week 2, the Roughnecks had Jarek Garantano leave the game with a rib injury. A very unfortunate circumstance as well for him. He's going to be out for about a month here. That did clear the way for Reed Sinnott, though, coming in relief with 63% completion rating on 221 yards passing with 1 touchdown as well. Can he save this Roughnecks season? He looked good in relief last week, but the real test is definitely going to be this week with the Michigan Panthers here. Their defense had a pick six early, but struggled to finish just like the rest of the team, giving up 11 in the fourth quarter. So they definitely cannot do that if they're going to have any hope at the playoffs here. Jumping on into the Panthers, though. The Panthers' run game last week was missing. That is for sure. We had EJ Perry leading it with 4 attempts. Wes Hill's only getting 7 attempts is an absolute crime after last week's efficiency, and we will hope to see him get the ball back in his hands because that's how this team wins. EJ Perry is a great game manager, but I'm not sure if he is good enough to put the team on his back. I'm not sure if any quarterback is good enough to put the team on their back that's not named McCarron in this league, with the improvement of the defense. Speaking of defense, though, the Panthers defense did take a step back this week, but it might just be because the Stallions are a bit oppressive everywhere they go. Even with them only having a run game, they are quite deadly. We are going to be predicting the Panthers to take over this one, though. The Roughnecks are looking decent, and we have high hopes for them, but the Panthers are just looking too good to deny here. And to close out this week at 3 p.m. Eastern, we have the St. Louis Battlehawks versus the San Antonio Brahmas. Jumping into the Battlehawks first in week 2, the McCarron-led offense normally played second fiddle to the run here with Mateo Durant's emergence. 14 attempts and 104 yards with a touchdown to show for it. He smacks out onto the scene, completely covering up McCarron's 248 yards and 2 touchdowns. Would love to see more of this. As we jump in to cover the defense here a little bit as well, with 5 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, and 3 pass breakups. This team is looking more complete than anything and an absolute challenge to that Stallions throne, should we see them improve on this throughout the season. Jumping on into our heavy heated contender and an absolute game of the week winner, if you're asking me, the San Antonio Brahmas. We got to highlight the offense here. Chase Garbers is looking absolutely excellent with 40 attempts being put up to his responsibility. He had 29 completions and 3 touchdowns to show for it with a 1 interception for a blemish. He is ready to carry this offense. No run game necessary. That is more of an object of the way that the game played out, though, with that comeback victory against the Roughnecks. The defense also looking quite good here with 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery, and 8 tackles for a loss. This team is way more complete than we ever thought, and a absolute sleeper pick, which is gonna lead me to a hot take here that most of you are gonna think is absurd, with me saying the Battlehawks can take them. I think a complete Battlehawks team will absolutely give the Brahmas a run for their money. I am sus that the Brahmas are beating some pretenders, and we are absolutely going to see that here in week 3. If they beat the Battlehawks, then it is Brahmas all the way for the rest of the season in my book. But until that further notice, we will see about that. And that's going to do it here. Week 3 in summary, we have the dabbing cat next to all the winners we think for this week. We have the Battlehawks, Panthers, Stallions, and Renegades in reverse from their order. And until next time.